Welcome back to the Slide Job Podcast. I'm your host, Colton Smith, or Left Turn Central, here joined by Josh Northcutt, our producer. Bull is out for this week. He's down in Florida enjoying the Florida life. I think you heard he was going to Disney World, I think is the one in Florida. So, yeah, it should be. It's Disney.
Yeah,
Whatever it is, it's Disney.
yeah, because Disneyland is the L.A., but
Okay.
somehow it spells out like Florida or it spells out like Orlando. It's weird how they do it, but the way they explain, you know what, that doesn't matter.
Yep.
It's not a Disney podcast.
I know I've been to the one in LA, so I've been to Disneyland, not
Yeah.
Disney World. So hopefully he's having a great time down there. We're gonna have a great time talking some NASCAR as it was a fun weekend at Homestead. Not like the greatest Homestead race of all time, like the one we saw last year, but still, just an average Homestead race is an above average race overall. And we need to get this back on the championship. I don't think we talked about that before the show, but that is something we should maybe try to mention
Mhm.
before we get done with the race recap. But I'm gonna get right into this race recap really quick because really to start, Ryan Blaney dominated the show. He won the first stage. He was up 8 seconds on the rest of the field towards the end of the first stage. Christopher Bell, one of my first overall pick in the Fast Five, decided to lose talent coming out of a turn, damaged his splitter, and ended his day.
Text message number one.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the fall. I'll try not to go too in detail on my pain that was my race, but I'm just happy to break even. And anyways, so Blaney wins that stage. He's still the fastest car in stage two, but then there's a little different strategy played. Larson and Hamlin stay out until halfway through the stage. That gives them worse tires, lose a lot of time, but then they're on the new tires. Now they're catching time. And by the end of the run, it was proven that Larson and Hamlin were faster, considerably faster than that of Blaney, who had about 10 at the most, if that, more laps on his tires. So beautiful strategy coming into play here, and some really fast cars in the 5, 11, 12. The 48 was hanging around there. And then Bubba Wallace came into the picture as well. So stage three goes along. There was a caution. I forget for who. And I remember this got Blaney to kind of fall back in the field. So we have the longest green flag run of the day. I think it was about 52 or so laps in the 50s. So it was the longest that anybody had gone on those tires without taking a pit stop. And what do you know? Kyle Larson is the beneficiary of that. But before that happened, Ryan Blaney was clearly the fastest car. And it was funny. I remember Boyer, Harvick, and all of them like questioning, well, he's been fast all day in clean air, but he has to get through the dirty air now. And for most cases, that's an issue. For Blaney, it was not. He started in 10th and was in second place by like lap 3. So you knew dirty air wasn't an issue for him. And he showed that again. But unfortunately, I guess he did need clean air because his engine, yes, Josh, it go poof. And people are nostalgic for engine explosions, I suppose, because I've been seeing all over Twitter like, oh, where has this been all for the last couple of years? Because since the next gen car, there hasn't been too many of them. And Josh,
You want to talk about a car that blew up though? I mean, if it's gonna blow up, it better
rumor
blow up
is it's still
like Ryan
smoking.
freaking Blaney did, dude. That smoke. I felt bad for the driver who had to go through it. I forget. It might have been. It wouldn't have been Bubba because Bubba was leading at that time.
Yeah, it would not have been better.
It might have been Briscoe or Hamlin. I forget whose car they did the ride along with as his uh, basically his car blew up. Having to go through that cloud of smoke, man, that's got to be the most terrifying in the world. Like, I know you got your spotter telling you all clear, but you could not see anything because I've seen cars blow up, but that car blew up. And then it proceeded to receive text message after text message after text message from my buddy Colton threatening my life. So if I end up dead somewhere, Colton did it, people.
Well, you should give the context of beforehand, like maybe 5 laps before that. Man, that 12 is a rocket ship. Sure was. Not the kind of rocket ship you want to try and take into space, though. Yeah, and it just came to my mind that was actually he lost positions on pit road was getting back through, and that
Correct.
caused the caution with about 50 to go. And that was what set up our final strategy. So Bubba Wallace took the lead from that and had the lead coming out of that restart. And he had a bad, fast car. Bowman was coming up to him, and the broadcast kind of made it out to where Bowman just passed him, but then it was actually Bubba got in the wall a little bit, he admitted. And that is what got Bowman to get past. Because I remember it happening like so fast in one lap, it seemed weird. But Bowman takes the lead. He starts setting sail. But here comes Kyle Larson, who was just biding his time, saving his tires. And with about, 25, 20 laps to go, I'd say, he starts, really putting it on. And eventually he gets about a second, then 7/10, then 5/10. Pressure's on. Bowman's trying to run the outside, trying to match Larson there. And that's where I think Bowman's critical mistake was. He decided to try and run as outside as he could. You're not Kyle Larson, man. You don't have that many reps on the outside. You were doing okay. And the thing is, he was going to get Larson in dirty air. You have a much better chance at slowing down Larson in dirty air than you do by hitting the wall and letting him by. Like, that's the thing. And I don't blame Bowman. Plenty of people have made that same mistake. I mean, Larson hit the wall like 20 times that race. It just doesn't matter because he's Kyle Larson. He has plot armor. And yeah, so Larson goes by, drives to his second win at Homestead, and now his 30th win of his career. He now is the third most winningest driver at Hendrick with 24 wins under the Hendrick banner. That is behind, you may have heard of Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. Pretty historic. Also, the Larson has surpassed 30 wins before some Hall of Famers here. Mark Martin, Denny Hamlin, Dale Jarrett, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex, Kurt Busch, and he did this on his 372nd start. Kyle Busch did it, got to 30 wins in his 370th start. So he's currently on pace for a Kyle Busch-esque career. But I've been talking a lot. My voice is starting to go out. It went out yesterday. I didn't know if it would come back, and I still have a podcast after this due. So, Josh, let's hear some words.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, a lot of criticism towards Bowman, not well deserved. He made a mistake. He was trying to do what, quote unquote, is the right thing to do at Homestead. It happens. The pressure from having arguably the best driver in NASCAR behind him played a role. It happens. They move on. Teammates still won. Bowman openly admitted to making a mistake. And as you're putting your headset back on, I wanted to bring up, you sent that Twitter post between Bowman and that fan. That fan has to get off the internet. He's dead. Done. You're done. You don't get to talk NASCAR anymore. Leave Bowman's mentions. You're dead.
Yeah.
So very, very nicely done by Alex Bowman. If you haven't seen it, he basically kind of told the guy to enjoy a seat from his couch because he's still finishing second. Like, Bowman's not having a bad year. And I guess
not at all.
I guess I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because I know it was one of our talking points. But the dude's third in points, I believe, if I remember looking at the rankings
you are
correctly.
correct.
He doesn't have the win, but he's third in points. Like,
5 top 10s out of 6 races.
Getting the finishes done that he needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I mean, I know it's a different era, but Matt Kenseth won a championship this way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
absolutely.
you need to finish the race first off, because that was the big thing with Bubba. Their main goal coming into this week was just finish the race. Turned into a third place finish. Congratulations to him. Always love seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bowman hate's got to stop. Like, I almost want Bowman to go somewhere he would be appreciated. I don't know where it would be, but it's just like Hendricks and the fans just don't appreciate the guy's talent to the point it's made me a fan, and I don't ever cheer for anybody who drives for that freaking team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love Bowman. He's my second favorite driver, and it used to be Blaney, and then as Bowman, I see all this like just so unnecessary hate. And Bowman's like, he's a story that a lot of people could relate to. He did not get in this car because his daddy. Like, he got in this car because he worked his ass off. Just so happened to start next to Dale Jr. in one of the Cup races, and was talking to him. And Dale's like, "Hey, this guy knows his stuff. He should be getting better at rides." And ended up getting pegged to be the Dale Jr. replacement when he had his concussion. and Hendrick liked what he saw and brought him onto the team. So, yeah, did he get help from Junior? But you got to know somebody, and he had to work his ass off for years and years just to get in that position. And he was outperforming his. I don't even remember what the name of the team was now, but they were just basically Rick Ware Racing, but somehow worse. But yeah, Bowman. It's been a great story, a great run, and I'm happy to see this next chapter. I mean, it's easy to forget before his injury, not last year, but the year before, 2023, I believe, he was first in the points. He was leading the points. He was really great. And just before COVID hit, he had an outstanding run at that of Auto Club, where he just dominated the field. So I'm kind of scared what cataclysmic event is coming next, since Bowman's doing so good to start the season. But I hope he's able to keep it up. And as of right now, I'll say it. I think Bowman could be. I said it, I guess, to start the year. He could be a championship threat if he can rattle off some wins here.
Blaney was your pick, but you came close to naming Bowman, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
to win your championship.
Blaney was my pick, wasn't he? That's why he's so bad.
Yeah, Blaney was your pick because you stood by the whole if Penske in Phoenix, they're going to win.
I still stand by that.
Yeah, I know, which is fair. But I want to just run through another few drivers, if you're okay with it, through the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
So obviously, as we mentioned, Larson won, Bowman finished second. Bubba Wallace was good for third. Chase Briscoe, very nice finish of fourth. Denny Hamlin, fifth. Toyota's all over the place up that way.
By the way, three of the five people he just named were on his team this week, so that's why he surpassed him in points.
Sixth, Chris Buescher. Seventh, AJ Allmendinger, who I will bring up in the talking point here in a minute. 8, Tyler Reddick. 9, Ryan Preece again. I'm telling you, Ben might have been on it before me and you both. He's getting there. And then 10th place, Justin Haley, figuring out, getting his way there. And then one more I just wanted to mention. 11th place, Zane Smith.
Yep. Zane Smith has been the best driver at front row to start the year, no doubt.
That's what I was going to mention. I was like, I feel like this is the second or third time I've seen his name in the top 10 or near the top 10, basically. Mm-hmm. He's off to a pretty solid start to the year. Not like groundbreaking, but still very solid.
He's been the best finisher for front row 4 out of the 6 races to start the year.
Which I would not have predicted, I'll tell you that much.
No, not at all.
But to wrap it back all around, AJ Allmendinger, I picked him to be on my team because the numbers said he does really good at this track. Colton, I know this is one of your favorite tracks. So I'll ask you, what is it about Miami that you think Dinger is able to do so well? Because he's known as the road course guru. He was the SVG before the SVG. What makes Miami so different that he's able to do well there?
Well, we saw it at Las Vegas as well. He ran top 10, and that's been historically a good track for him. So I think what a lot of it is just its talent with this car is key. We see the night and day difference from Burton to Barry. So I think Allmendinger likes this track. I mean, he's been in the Cup Series almost 20 years now, I guess. And so he's seen a thing or two. He knows a thing or two. So he knows a lot more. He has a much larger notebook than the rest of the field, and he's able to kind of apply that. And Homestead is a track that we saw a lot of tire strategy, a lot of tire. You need to be able to save your tires. And I'm not sure Allmendinger has really been the best at that throughout his career, but he's been able to figure it out on these 1.5 miles to where towards the end of the run, he was moving up in the field. I think he was running around 10th, ended up in 7th there on that final run. So, it's really impressive what he's been able to do to start this year. He's up to 20th in points now, and I really don't doubt that. I've always thought he's had the talent to do it, and I'm curious if he's able to maintain this. Martinsville is a good driver track. Does he get a top 15? If he can just rattle off top 15s, top 10s, it doesn't have to be top 10s every week. He can hang around this top 20 and get a win at a road course. Things go your way. It's a very driver-oriented first round in the playoffs. Who knows? We could see a round of 12 appearance for AJ Allmendinger, which is an outstanding season for the 16 team that did not have an outstanding season last year. If I remember correctly, it was Daniel Hemrick in this car. So not sure why they ever went away from Allmendinger in the first place, but I'm glad they brought him back. And, hey, as long as he's willing to do it, you should have them in this car. And he's getting up there in age, but I mentioned to you, maybe he'll be the Mark Martin of our generation. Not quite wins, not quite success-wise, but just like as long as he's running. Because I'd have to double check his age really quick if you have something to say.
Yeah, I got. So I just got nosy, and I wanted to look up like his current stats at every track that he's ever raced at, thanks to DriverAverage.com. And if you're a NASCAR fan and you love weird numbers and stuff like that, definitely check it out. But out of all the tracks that he's raced at least 10 times, Homestead is his second best. In 14 races, he's finished in the top 10 7 times. That's impressive for
Absolutely.
a guy who literally, besides that, the races above that are the road course at Daytona, Watkins Glen, his best track, Charlotte Roval, Indy Road Course, Gateway, and Nashville. And then it's Homestead. It's something about this track that just means a lot to him. And I don't know what it is, but I mean, I love to see it because, like you said, he's just one of those guys that's really nice to pull, or easy to pull for. I shouldn't say nice to pull for, but easy to pull for. And he seems like a good guy who knows how to wheel it. And I'd love to see him in the playoffs if he can make it happen.
Yeah, I was maybe stretching a little bit. He is only 43. For some reason I thought he was like Matt Kenseth age. That's my bad age. I didn't mean to add any extra years. Apparently I like doing that. But yeah, I love AJ Allmendinger. I've always been rooting for him ever since he was in the 43 car, the 22. Unfortunately, that came to an abrupt end. And then throughout his time in the 47 and now the 16, Colleague Racing was always a team I thought at this point would be competing for championships. Not quite there yet, but hey, if you can get a guy in the playoffs, that's revenue boost. That's a boost for next year. Keep stacking that, and I hope they're able to do it because I love the addition of Colleague. I know Ty Dillon's kind of the pay. Wait, I just realized Ty Dillon is the other teammate, so that's why AJ's doing so good. Every time Ty Dillon is good, or Ty Dillon's on a team, the other driver has like a career season in terms of for that team. So we saw it with Eric Jones, we saw it with Corey LaJoie. And now we're seeing it with AJ Allmendinger. Shout out Ty Dillon for being. I mean, honestly, if I'm like a 23-11, just put Ty Dillon in there. Then Bubba and Reddick can really compete for a championship, even though Reddick did last year. But you get my point. Trackhouse, you guys need it because you all looked ugly this week, and you've looked ugly to start the year. We could even go into that. But is there any other storylines from this race that you wanted to bring up? I think there was one that we.
You wanted to talk Penske.
I do think it is time to talk about Penske because guess what? All three of the drivers at Penske lead the series in laps led. However, there is a combined, 2 top tens from Blaney, Logano 0 top tens, and Cindric is that 0? No, that's 2. So a combined 4 top tens in 6 races from 3 drivers. All of those 3 have led the most laps so far this season. And it's Blaney wouldn't be the case if like he didn't have 2 engine blows, which actually it's the first he didn't have a single blown engine from 2019 to 2024, and now he has 2 in 3 races. So what are the odds of that? Is it just kind of a case of like just forces that be say, no, Penske, you're not winning the championship this year, and the only way we can make that happen is you guys just have all the bad luck because Cindric was top 10 all day. Shout out to him until he had that speeding penalty, which ended his day. So Cindric has actually looked really good these past 2 weeks. So props to him. I'm curious to see how he develops throughout the rest of the year. But yeah, are you worried about Penske? Do you think maybe? But what do you think the problem is? Because like clearly they're fast. Logano and Blaney are also like top 5 in stage points on the year. Nice. Blaney has 69 stage points. But it's not coming into results.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look, and it's like Blaney's technically tied with Bubba and Cody Ware for the most DNFs this year. He's got 3 now. If you want to add Josh Berry into the group, he's got 2. And then Logano and Cindric both have 1. Cindric lost his points of 50 because of the whole mess. So was it Penske maybe sold their soul to get Barry a victory? He had to destroy the rest of his team. Like was that?
Well, and not even to mention the pit road, disgusting. Blaney lost consistently 5 to 10 positions on pit road. Barry and Logano not once but twice ran into each other coming out of pit road, which ended Barry's top 10 day and held back Logano from getting a better finish. So yeah, absolutely, it was. It just feels like there's stuff like they have fast cars. There's no doubt about that, but there's just some force outside of it. So yeah, if there's a hedge bet on any Penske driver winning the series, I'd go ahead and take it because the man upstairs is taking things into his own hands with that team. So
Yeah, it's weird to see, but it's also one of those things, though. It is Penske. We talked about it before the show. Blaney and Logano are the two best drivers at Martinsville since February 2022. So it's not like they're not going to a track they do well at. Now,
but
if we get through these three short tracks and they still look bad, go ahead and give me a panic button, and then I'll start pressing it. But
okay.
would it surprise you? Would it surprise you 3 weeks from now if all three have wins?
It surprised me if Austin Cindric had a win, yes, but
Okay.
it would not surprise me if Blaney or Logano did. My only point that didn't stop them from having a blown engine at Phoenix for Blaney, his best track, arguably, in the series. So we'll see how Martinsville goes. I can tell you one thing is for certain. Take notes, Josh. Take notes, Ben. I will not be taking Blaney this week. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It's just maybe I will. Maybe like he can't. It can't happen again. No, hell no. I'm not taking Blaney. It's not happening. And I'm not taking Bell either. Y'all can have Bell. I don't care. He. If I wait, I won't. I won't. I'm not saying on business on Bell. I might pick Bell if he falls to me, but you just have to wait and see. You have to see it on Friday to find out. But I think that's really all we have from that race. There's plenty of stuff we could talk about. I can't shout out Bubba Wallace enough, though. Great race from him, and really a great start. He should be finishing. He should have better finishes, and thus probably be in the top 5. He has the third most stage points in the series. That is a very quick math, but yeah, definitely the third most stage points in the series to this point. So yeah, shout out. But I think it's time to move on to flying the flag. So Josh, what are we flying this week?
Yep. So I added one, by the way, just to give you a heads up, but I'll hit you with the one we talked about beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Larson will make a run to be a top 10 driver of all time.
I want to wave the red flag, actually, because I'm not sure how long he will be racing in NASCAR. There's always that back of my mind that he just pulls a Carl. He's like, I just want a dirt race. And the thing is, it's not going to be safety with Kyle like it was with Carl and other things, because dirt racing is still more dangerous than stock car racing, believe it or not. So it's not really safety. It's just more so of I still wonder if this guy really has that desire to be a top 10 driver in the sport. I guess he does, but then the other times he doesn't. Right now it feels like it, I will say. But I also remember times in the past where he hasn't seemed as motivated. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I'm actually going to wave the red because I don't think he goes past 40.
I'm going to go with the yellow. I think it's a legit possibility. His skills are unmatched. We just talked about Christopher Bell running off 3 in a row. It won't surprise me 2 weeks from now if we're talking Kyle Larson just ran off 3 in a row to match and pushing for the 4th because, again, we're at a short track that he does really well at. He's in obviously the best team car. How he falls in the chain, we're actually going to talk about here in a little bit, but that's where it will be interesting to see as Byron gets the push of kind of becoming the face, but Kyle Larson still is the face of Hendricks right now.
I would also add that since he should probably have at least a championship or 2 extra with at least chase points, but with the playoff system, he's not going to win 7 championships, which isn't a requirement for top 10. But he's not. I don't know if he's going to get 3 or 4. Just depends. He could, but
next will be Chase Elliott is the 4th car at Hendricks. I'm going to go ahead and grab the red flag, and I'm just going to wave that out there. You can't be the 4th car at Hendricks when you're the most valuable car in Hendricks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he is always the most popular driver in NASCAR since basically just like his dad. Like they're just likable. NASCAR fans love him. You really don't meet a fan who doesn't say anything about it. So off the value alone of what he brings to that team, I will say no. But also, I would argue it's more of a 1A 1B and like a 2A, 2B. I'm not going to say any of these four drivers are bad. They would go to any other team in NASCAR and arguably be the best driver on that team. There, you could arguably put those four guys as the top four drivers in NASCAR. Maybe Chase and Bowman go down because they haven't been performing lately. But also, we were talking about Bowman, the panic mode of, okay, is Bowman going to lose his job? And now this year, he's third in points, stacking up top tens. Well, what if Chase just isn't fully healthy yet, fully confident behind the wheel of that car? It's only been, what, a year since the injury, or are we going on year two?
It's been 2. He had a full year last year.
Okay. So
I think it was at.
I'm still going to wave the yellow flag alone just because the money he brings Hendricks.
I'm waving the green flag because I meant like not like he's getting the fourth worst equipment. Somebody is, and it's somebody who finished second last week. I just mean like in terms of performance, I think he's the fourth best performing team out there. They are not firing on really any cylinders, I would say. And if you ask me, I remember right about the year before his championship, thinking, it's time for Alan Gustafson maybe to go. And I'm back to thinking that I think it's time. Not really Alan Gustafson's fault, but I think it's just worn thin. And I'm not saying a crew chief swap. I think find somebody to bring up there, maybe somebody from Chase's past, because that worked with William Byron, picking up Rudy Fugle as Truck Series crew chief, and maybe try to bring them in, or promote somebody that worked for Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson. So, I think I'm waving the green flag in terms of performance. He's probably getting the third worst equipment or third best equipment at Hendrick. I did like your point of being the best driver on every team. I think Christopher Bell would have something to say about that. We could talk about that forever. But
that can be something actually I would love to bring up in a discussion at a later time. But we can move on. We're going to short track season. Obviously, the next three races, sorry, as I should have had this pulled up, are Martinsville, Darlington, Bristol, and then we get a weekend off. So, will Alex Bowman win one of those three races? Martinsville,
yes.
Darlington, Bristol.
I don't know which one. He's got to win at Martinsville. He's one of the best drivers at mile and a half. Darlington has not necessarily been his best, but hasn't been bad for him either. And then Richmond has also been a great track for him. I wave the yellow. I can't wave the green because just how unpredictable it is. But I'll wave the yellow, and I'll say it's a very greenish yellow.
That's fair. I think I'm leaning more yellow and then down to the red. Obviously, he's in a Hendricks car. He's got a chance to win any race. It just depends where they come. However, I just feel like maybe, and we're about to see how good of a driver he can be, this little bump into the wall could affect him over the next three races where he's forcing things that should not be forced. You know what I mean? Like, he's not hitting his spot again because of the fear of dealing with the repercussions of this or that, or even just a fan outcry, as we mentioned, of, oh, well, he's not a good driver anymore, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I could see that. I do think one thing about Bowman is he's had to deal with this his entire career. Ever since he replaced Dale Jr., there was a stable of fans that loved him for it and resented him for it. So I would err on the side of I don't think he's going to be as phased as it, but for the average person, it probably would be.
And just to clarify, Bristol is his 11th best track, Martinsville is 12th, and Darlington is 19th. And as you mentioned, he has a win, or no, he has no wins at any of those tracks since going to the next gen car.
And the Denny Hamlin's a hack thing must have happened like the year before that then.
Yeah, he's the only places he's won is Chicago Street and Las Vegas.
Okay. Yeah. So that was the year before.
My last question is, so Ryan Preece is now officially 16th in points. Will Ryan Preece win one of the next three races? And has he become the second best driver at RFK?
Hey, Josh, why don't you answer your own question? I'll think about it for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one, I don't think he's going to win a race. I do think he's going to get maybe a few top tens. I think they're a little bit behind. And as much as we talk about cars getting the best stuff, I think they're going to be pushing for Buescher to make the playoff first before they open the door for a Priest or even a Brad right now, which I still don't know what's going on
I
there.
don't know if that door's ever opening.
However, that being said, I 110% believe Ryan Priest is the second best driver now at RFK.
I will wave the red flag on a win over these next three races. I think Brad actually, they have a good notebook at Darlington. They just won the race last year. So I think Brad could maybe have his resurgence there, hopefully. Buscher's also really great at that track. I'm not sure about Priest's stats there. And really, we're kind of just on new territory with Priest. We can't really take too much into effect what he did at Stewart Haas. We know the tracks he was good at, and Martinsville is one of those. So I think I agree with you. Top tens, top fives for Priest coming up these next couple of weeks. Darlington's a very big driver track, and it kind of it's not a short track, but it runs like a short track. And I think that definitely plays into Priest's wheelhouse. As far as second best driver, I think it's a very loaded statement, but on the presence of how he started, green flag. He's been the second best for sure.
Bristol is his third best track. Martinsville is his fifth, and Darlington is his 10th. Obviously, he has no wins there, but he does have a top 10 at both Bristol and Martinsville, and he's never finished out of the top 20 at Martinsville.
That doesn't shock me. Martinsville is definitely a track you want him on your team. So I see you picking him with your first or second pick. We'll see.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That is all the questions. So I believe all we got left is our top five.
Yep, our power rankings. So I'll go ahead and get started, and I'll try to keep it short because my voice needs to be reserved, just like Kyle Larson's tires. In fifth place, and as an honorable mention, I will keep Chase Elliott there because a top 20 day is not bad. Denny Hamlin would also be an honorable mention, and Chris Buescher, honestly. Not competing for wins at all, but just finding top tens out of nowhere. Than Air 4 so far to start the year. So Buescher, Hamlin, and Elliott are all honorable mentions here. But in fifth place, I got Bubba Wallace. Finally getting that finish he's been waiting on. He's been running fast throughout the races to this point, just hasn't had the finish. He's got the stage points. He's seventh in the point standings. He's got the finish. Uses has momentum. Martinsville, probably not one of his better tracks, but that doesn't matter. You can still find a way. And that was the case. He had a great road course start and then had an issue, and that couldn't recover from that. So Bubba in fifth, Bowman in fourth. I think Bowman third in the point standings, 5 top tens. That's the most of anybody else in the field, and he's the consistent starter so far. Had race winning speed last week, and he's got the momentum. Give me him in fourth place. In fifth place, I got Kyle Larson coming off of his win. He also second in the point standings as well. Already jumped over Bell, who's fallen down the fifth, but he still isn't quite to the level to the first two. But give him a couple races and he'll be there. William Byron, I have in second. Only got a top 15, which is probably his worst finish to start the year, other than when he got wrecked out at Atlanta. Still first in the point standings. Not really sure why I haven't taken him because he's just been an automatic great finish. But here we are. And then first, I still have Christopher Bell. 3 wins in a row is not something that happens often. And so you should be held at the top of the leaderboard accordingly. But I will say another outside the top 20 or even outside the top 15 finish or a win from Byron or Larson, and he's probably dethroned.
I would wholeheartedly agree. So my top 5, as you mentioned, honorable mention, I would put Bubba in mine. When you have 2 DNFs, I can't quite put you in the top 5 yet, so that's the reason why he was left out of my list. My other honorable mention is his teammate, Tyler Reddick. Very, very talented driver, has it going, but I was a little disappointed with his finish this weekend. Homestead's supposed to be one of his tracks, and it's sad to say a 7th place finish is disappointing, but it really was disappointing.
But it is.
They just seemed not to have the right stuff. And then my last honorable mention would be Denny Hamlin. Seemed to find something this weekend. We're going to his homelands, as we mentioned, with the short tracks. Denny Hamlin loves them. Won't surprise me if he finds win number 1, possibly number 2 this week, and makes his way into my top 5. But number 5 for me, first off, is Chris Buescher. Again, not up there with the wins, not up there with the led laps, but he's finding finishes. It is what he's doing. He's got new DNFs. He's got 4 top 10s, which is tied for second with 3 other drivers who made my list. So I believe that Chris Buescher has earned his right onto my list of the top 5. Number 4, just as you mentioned, also is Alex Bowman. I can't put him up in the top 3 yet because he doesn't have a win. Should he have won? Yes, but he doesn't have the win. I need him to get a win if he's going to enter my top 3. No, number 3, however, will be William Byron. I'm flopping him and Kyle Larson compared to your list because I know we're not supposed to look at these, but my tiebreaker was stats because they've both had very, very similar years. Both have a win.
Exact
Both
same.
have, both have 3 top 5s. Both have 4 top 10s. Byron has led more laps. However, Larson has won more stages. The stage is what got it for me, so I'll go ahead and give it to Kyle Larson. And actually, I'd be interested to see if we took out the 2 super speedways, how far ahead Kyle Larson would be on William Byron, or if they would be close enough in points. Maybe something I need to dig into a little bit. But obviously, that makes Kyle Larson number 2. And number 1 for me is Christopher Bell. Again, 3 wins, hard to take him off. But if we come Monday morning, Kyle Larson, William Byron have a win, they're going to go probably jump them because I'm not liking what I've seen the last 2 weeks out of Christopher Bell.
Yeah, Bell regressed to the half of the season where he's not race winning speed, and instead of getting a top 10, top 15, makes a mistake and ends up not having a great day. He did have a tendency of that in the last couple of years, and that's why I should have hesitated to take him this week as I saw the signs of Phoenix, but I did not because Homestead is a great track for him. But yeah, I can't argue with your top 5 there at all. I like the Buescher includement as well. But is there any other topics? One thing I do want to say is these points are very close. Outside of Byron, who has a solid 30 quick match, 30 or
36.
so, 36. Yeah. Oh, there's something right here that says the behind points.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, 36 points behind Byron. You still have Bowman right there, just 3 points behind Larson. A little bit of space, but then you got Reddick, Bell, Elliott all around each other. Bubba, Hamlin, Buescher, Blaney, Logano, all within 10 points of each other. And then there's a quite large gap between Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, who's charging, Ross Chastain, and then Michael McDowell.
But look at 16, 17, 18, 19.
Oh, it's even closer down here. Good Lord. 16, you got a 3-way tie for 16th.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. 3-way tie is 16. Stenhouse is only a point back. 4 points for
Allmendingers. Yeah.
9 points for Cendric.
With 50-point deficit.
Maybe you want to add Suarez into that group.
Throw in Suarez. He had a good run until he lost talent and couldn't pit. But he was still the fastest Trackhouse car on the field today. And boy, does that take from Bull look better each and every week. Shane Van Gisbergen is missing those road courses. He just wants to turn right, just once.
He can turn right into the wall.
Yeah, no. At least he didn't do that, I guess, this week. But yeah, it's still looking ugly for Ty Gibbs as well. We talked about it last week. I don't want to go too in detail, but he still finds himself 34th in points, just 10 points, 12 points this week ahead of Cole Custer, and only about, 30 or so points ahead of Jimmy Johnson, who's only run one race to this point in the season. Yeah, we're not going to hold back on Ty Gibbs. It's still looking ugly. I don't care what his radio says. Ty Gibbs is looking ugly. I don't care where he starts. He's not finishing well. It's not working. Best of luck. I'm not even rooting against him, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So, yeah. Any last thoughts after now that we've gone through the field? Shout out Justin Haley on that top 10 though. He isn't quite the speedy one. He's not going to blind you with his speed, but he's going to find a way to get those random top 15s. Today he got a top 10. So shout out to him. I know you mentioned him as you kind of thought would be the leader at Spire, I thought, to start the year. So he's doing that. He really is. He's tied with who's the other guy at Spire? McDowell for the most finishing first in the team, best finish in the team. So Hocevar's not even close. He's got 3 DNFs, so 3 outside the top 30.
I'll just wrap it up with this. I'm interested to see like the fact that we just talked about it from 12 to 22. There's 30 points deciding between those drivers.
How that's all going to shake out, yeah.
Correct.
Who's going to?
There's a lot of talent down there. There is a lot of talent. Briscoe, Chastain, Priest, Busch. Like there's guys who can get wins. But if they don't get wins, this race could be really, really, really fun to see who can get maybe the 15 and 16 spot into the playoffs.
Credit to Briscoe, too, for finally getting a good day down. There's been a lot said about James Small. A point that was made, though, on the broadcast was that Briscoe likes his cars much tighter than that of Truex. Truex always liked a looser car. I do remember hearing that throughout his time there. And that takes adjustment. That takes time to adjust to, because you're going into the season, you're going into each race with Martin Truex's notebook, not Chase Briscoe's notebook. So you're really converting that. So on a week-to-week basis, he's not going to have that consistency this year that maybe we expected out of him. And then that's an aspect I didn't really think of. So I do think this should be kind of considered a growing period for Chase Briscoe, and he should not be expected to hit the ground running like maybe some people thought. But great finish, and maybe it'll start a great run for Briscoe here over the next couple of weeks. Rooting for him. He's currently in the playoffs, so shout out to him. But to your point, and then we'll wrap it up. Talking about, I'm interested to see definitely who stays around that 16 spot, but who in this field is going to go on a run and make their way up through. Because really, you look at that top 11, it's probably the best 11 drivers in the field outside of Kyle Busch. Larson, Bowman, Reddick, Byron, Bell, Elliott, Wallace, Hamlin, Buescher, Blaney, Logano. Those are probably the top 11 drivers in our sport right now. Not in that order, but I would say in the sport. Chastain probably needs to get up there. Briscoe, Busch, who ran worse than his teammate Austin Dillon for the 3rd time this year. It's an interesting stat that I saw that. I think at least one of the two was on a super speedway though. So, who's going to work their way up there? Who's going to continue their rough season? We're in a very interesting point in the season. I'm excited to come back on Friday to talk about it. We'll definitely have to make a note. We did not mention the Hocevar stuff with what Busch said, because I think it's the most hypocritical thing I've ever heard in my life. And yeah, maybe we'll have room, assuming it's not a crazy news day, to talk about that on Friday. But for now, this is a Slide Job podcast. Hope you all did enjoy. Be sure to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and pray that my voice comes back throughout the week. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at LFC__99 and follow Josh at JNorth1989. Thank you for coming on the show, Josh. I know it's been a busy day, and I'll let you go. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace.